What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for February 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Friday edition of the podcast. I will say, if you are listening to this and the sound is not what it normally is, I apologize. I'm in the process of doing a couple different things here. Listening to some of my playback, it seemed as though the recording levels were too high and it was very distorted, or certain things, especially if I went on a rant. So I turned down the recording levels. I don't even know what this means. I'm kind of learning this all on the fly, but I turned the recording levels to 80%. So hopefully this is coming in loud and clear for you. If not, I apologize. Give me feedback. Let me know legitimately if it does sound bad. I do notice when the playback now, it does sound like there's a little bit of an echo because I got rid of the rug because I'm in the process of rearranging the office to get a better framing and the aesthetics for the YouTube channel. So I told you I got a lot of good things on the horizon, and this is sort of one of them. So let me know if how it sounds. Like if it sounds good, let me know that. If it sounds bad, tell me exactly what it is, because the mic stand is further away. It's not like in my face, so I don't know if it's picking up my voice or not. But I do need to work on the sound. But again, this is a work in progress. And if you buy t-shirts, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, the more people that subscribe, the better the algorithm, the better it is for me. Maybe I can get a Baba Booey in here and I won't even have to worry about it. I can just come in, sit down, record, and be good. But as always, let's start with the recap of the question of the day. I asked, based on Dave Dombrowski's interview on WIP, what were your thoughts on the Phillies offseason? What would you grade it? And about 83% of you graded it either a B or a C. We had a couple A's, one D, even though that wasn't even an option. But nobody graded it as a failure, which is good. So 83% said you were pretty good with it. And I would have to agree. I do think, like I said, I'm very bullish on them. The fact that they are running it back for the most part, I think is good, because they got guys that didn't start the season with them last year or were hurt. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. That the trucks are on their way to Clearwater. They should be there by Sunday, which only means one thing: spring training is around the corner. Who cares what Phil says? When that truck leaves Citizens Bank Park in February, you know spring is right around the corner. I mentioned the subscribers, but in all seriousness, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. All of those little things definitely help out and help us grow this thing. We definitely have a lot of good things happening, so let's just continue to have it and see where we can go and just have some fun with it. I do think that just having some fun and just I would like. I've had a few people this week actually reach out about excuse me, taking calls or like doing things live. I would love to do that, but I need to get sort of the everything in place of where it goes, because for the most part I'm recording this at 6:30 in the morning, but I would love to do some live shows in the evening. But in order to do that, I keep looking over there because that's where I'm going to switch everything. But I need to get all of that in order and everything first. So be patient. It is coming. I would like to do some things. So stay tuned for that. And the best way, like honestly, is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So that way you're in the loop whenever anything goes down. If you want to buy some Girl Scout cookies this weekend, hit the link in the description. Get them from Ellen. We're close or she exceeded her goal. They're close to being able to go on that camping trip, so let's keep it rolling. At this point, you've probably run out of your first batch, so why not get more? All right. The big news was, and I'm exhausted from following this all day yesterday, but the big news is the trade deadline for the Sixers, and they were extremely active. The first move I loved was Buddy Hield from the Pacers, and obviously he's on an expiring contract. So for me, it's kind of like a good way to feel him out, see how he fits in with the Sixers, and then possibly you're going to have a ton of money, bring him back and re-sign him. I think, to me, that's key. I would love to be able to re-sign him. I've had my eye on him for a while. I think it's going to, especially until Joe comes back, it'll open up the floor a lot for Tyrese, and then all of a sudden you get Joe back, and then I like the way that this team is set up. And depending on how this plays out, he might not be a fit, but I would love for them to re-sign him because I think they need a sharpshooter, and that's really, they haven't had it since JJ Redick, and I almost feel like when they had Redick, they weren't ready to compete. So it's one of those, it's like a catch-22, but hopefully Buddy comes in and is able to do what he does. They did bring in Cameron Payne for a backup point guard, kind of like, doesn't necessarily move the needle for me. I think that was more, I don't know. I don't know whether they feel that they could get, because they got Patrick Beverley was out on this trade, so I don't know if that means they're thinking they're going to be able to get some stuff in the buyout market. And then they got 2 second-round picks. They did trade out, as I mentioned, Patrick Beverley, Marquise Morris, Furkan Korkmaz, and Daniel House, as well as 4 second-round picks. The one person, though, and I just got done talking highly of him yesterday, and I don't know, this trade doesn't make any sense to me at all. The fact that Jaden Springer was traded, and then he was traded to Boston, and I'm uncomfortable anytime we trade with Boston. To me, it's similar to like trading with the Cowboys, and I don't know. I like Jaden Springer. I think because he's done nothing but do well when he's gotten playing time. So that's the one piece that I'm like, it's hard to grade though what this offseason is without knowing or this trade deadline is without knowing what they're going to pick up with the buyout market. They're still being linked to Lowry, have him come home. I'm not opposed to that for the rest of this season, but I do think the moves they made, it still gives them flexibility as far as they didn't take on any bad contracts. They still have their first round picks, and it gives a guy like Buddy Hield a chance to sort of try out. And I do think like if Joe comes back, if you're running a starting lineup of Buddy Hield, Tyrese, Toby, Joe, and Melton, it's not a bad starting lineup. I still think they need some help off the bench, but I think that's going to be addressed with the buyout market. I still would like to see a center come in. Nothing against B-Ball Paul, but right now we don't know how long Joe's going to be out, so we still are going to need somebody to fill that role. But I mean, overall, I mean, I'm happy with it. It's still incomplete. I did hear some people talking yesterday about how you got to try to make this work and not get the expiring contracts and use the pieces you got from the James Harden trade to let them go to waste. But I mean, they still got Rocco stayed. They have flexibility, and I think at this point with the Harden thing, you were just trying to get him off the books and get everything set up for next year. So I still think anything you get this year from this team is gravy. And if you're able to get Buddy Hield, sign him to an extension in the offseason with a healthy Joe coming back, I like where that goes. So we'll see. They're in action tonight against the Hawks. Likely be somewhat shorthanded again because of all the movement. But I mean, overall, I think they got better for this year. I don't know if they got exponentially better, but I do think they're a better team today than they were at this point yesterday. I still think more is to come with signing some of these buyout players. So we'll keep track of that as we go. But that leads to today's question of the day. 267-495-8531. Get you into the voice and text line. How would you grade the Sixers trade deadline moves yesterday? A, B, C, or F? Same grading scale we always use. I'm sure somebody's going to give it a D, but that's okay. That's what people do. But again, I'd probably give it a solid B. For Hield alone, I'm not a fan of getting rid of Springer. However, I do, like I said, I want to see who they bring in for the buyout, and they're going to have a shitload of cap space for next year, a shitload of ways for picks to package things up, maybe move up. So it should be from here until probably September. It should be a very, very exciting offseason, season and offseason for the Phillies or for the Sixers. I'm hoping that means if Joe comes back in 8 weeks, you got Buddy Hield. Hopefully, the key is going to be how they play down the stretch. But I don't know. Let me know what you think, though. How would you grade the Sixers trade deadline? 267-495-8531 get you in. I'd give it a solid B. And strictly based on Hield, the fact that they did not have to give up any of those first-round picks, and they did not. I think the key is they didn't take on any bad contracts. They didn't bring somebody in for the sake of bringing them in. If you remember during the process, it was just like they were just trading for guys that teams were looking to get rid of. So let me know, 267-495-8531. Now let's go and make some threes, buddy, please. All right, I mentioned the Phillies. Very much looking forward to that. There's a lot of smoke around them making some trades or signing some guys, so stay tuned for that. I don't think Dombrowski's done. I don't think he's going to do anything major, but I wouldn't be surprised if he added a pitcher or a bat off the bench between now and the time spring training starts. All right, Flyers. Great win for them over the Jets. That was just a solid win. They came out on fire, 4-1. Harrison was solid. They came out with a ton of energy, and that's what you want to see, especially against a team like the Jets that plays good defense. So Travis Konecny with the Gordie Howe hat trick, a goal, assist, and a fight. You gotta love it. That's a good day for a hockey player. But 2 in a row now after the All-Star break. The Flyers are looking good. They welcome Seattle to the Wells Fargo Center on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that, and let's keep that momentum going. Hopefully they can get some of that positive energy in the building to rub off on the Sixers now that the trade deadline's passed and we're in a playoff run now. So whatever you got to do, Flyers, let some of that good luck rub off and rub it on the Sixers locker room. Do you believe in the Flyers yet? Do you believe the Sixers got better? Are you excited for Philly season? Go to phillygoat.com. Show your Philly fandom. Get one of those great Quaker sweatshirts from Philly Goat that we inspired from this podcast. Get the Believe shirt. That truck's on the way. If you believe that this is the year for the Phillies, get your Believe shirt. I'm telling you, then get a pair of the loafers to match. Philly Goat has you covered with your Philly sports-based apparel. Even if you're not a 4-for-4 guy or gal, they have Philly neighborhood things. Everybody has a neighborhood from here, whether it's Delco or the Northeast or South Philly, whatever it is, you want to rep your neighborhood, they got a shirt for you. So go check it out, phillygoat.com. When you're done at checkout, use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Take 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery. All right, some Eagles news. Brian Johnson is going to be working with Washington in some capacity on the offense. I don't think it's a surprise he got a job. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen down there in Washington. It's been a long time since they've been pretty much relevant. New ownership, maybe they can turn the corner, but I got my eye on them. So they're kind of piecing together some things, but I'm not sold on Sam Howell, so we'll see what they do in the draft. But they could be a team to watch in the division for coming up. I don't know if I believe in the Giants with Daniel Jones, but we'll see. The only other thing I wanted to mention is I feel as though we're living in a bizarro world right now because they were talking on WIP about the Asante Samuel comments on Donovan McNabb. And two things really stuck out to me on this, and it's just bizarre to me. The first is everybody was hung up on his comment about that championship game against the Cardinals. And I think those people that were focusing on the fact that the defense really played shitty in that game and cost the Eagles the game because they couldn't stop Larry Fitzgerald, people were hung up on that. and I'm not sure why everybody's hung up on that part of his comments, because the bigger picture, and to me, my takeaway is Andy Reid let him get away with anything, and he wasn't disciplined, and he didn't have to really work hard and this, that, and Hugh Douglas was getting fired up, and I get that that's your coach, man, but listen, we always said about McNabb making those stupid low throws, and the fact that he did it in practice and it wasn't sort of like we're going to do it until we get it right, I think that's the takeaway, and I think it missed it. But the even more bizarro part is the entire time McNabb was here, these same people that are sticking up for him now were the ones that were complaining about his low throws. Like, I could not believe it. I've never heard more pro McNabb support on WIP than what I did yesterday. And they did nothing but rip him. The entire, from the day he was drafted, WIP did nothing but rip this dude. It's like, I don't know. So make it make sense to me. And I'm reaching out to you guys because, I don't know, I'd like to believe that I am a rational, logical person, but this makes no sense. Like, yeah, he said, like, Asante gave a shitty example of that championship game. That was just a poor example. But the fact remains, like, why are we holding on to that when McNabb threw the ball low? He had trouble making that throw all the time. And then he would give the stupid, my bad. Like, it was infuriating. And that apparently stemmed from practice. I don't think Asante Samuel has any reason to come out now and just make shit up about Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb. Like, what's he going to gain out of that? I mean, he's secure. He's got his own thing. Like, so why would he make that up? And like this, like, and again, I am a huge McNabb supporter. I drove the McNabb support bus, but I can see with my eyes, he used to miss that pass. And that's when he said the dirt ball, that is exactly what we always said. Worm burner, whatever you want to call it. McNabb would throw it low where his guys cannot catch it all the time. Beautiful deep ball. But apparently if Andy Reid allowed that to happen, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. And it doesn't make the fact that they didn't win a Super Bowl during that time any better. But it makes sense now. Okay. And it makes sense even more so because the big story after the AFC Championship game was, should the Eagles have kept Andy Reid? No, they should not have. And obviously he learned from his mistakes with Patrick Mahomes, but that was 100. Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb will always be married in Philadelphia sports history. And the fact that you have a guy coming out, now this isn't even the second time where things have been coming out, or the first time, I should say, that things have been coming out about McNabb and this, that, and the other. And it's different now because it's not T.O. saying it. This is somebody who really was only here for 3 years, I think, 4 years, and was near the end of the Andy Reid era. Obviously was here for the end of the Donovan McNabb era. And I mean, to me, that's telling. And the fact that WIP, who from day one, literally day one, minute one, second one, ripped Donovan McNabb for the McNabb love fest. I just don't get it. And listen, you got to be in the middle. Like, yes, I loved McNabb. Greatest quarterback in Eagles history. Could not hit that. The short pass went low every time. So the dirt ball that Asante was talking about, yeah, we saw it. I don't know. Again, can somebody please make it make sense? What does make sense is going to listen to Clashing Conferences podcast. Check out my boys over there. Good episode. They had a Niners fan on as a guest as they're looking to expand some things. So if you're looking to do some banter with some friends or something for other sports, hit them up. But for this one, for the NFC East, check it out. And listen, it got so bad that Randy was sticking up for the Eagles. So definitely go check it out. The Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And please make the Donovan McNabb thing make sense. Like, I don't think Asante said anything that wasn't true. So, all right. Today, we're going to go back to 1966. And on this day, 35 years after the Philadelphia Quakers played their last game in Philly, Philadelphia was awarded one of the quote unquote next 6 NHL expansion teams. For the longest time, I'm sure you've heard the original 6. Well, in 1967 or 1966, they decided to expand to 6 more cities. Philadelphia was chosen as one of the future homes to an NHL expansion team. Came in kind of a shocking upset as Baltimore was perceived as the favorite, but Ed Snider and company made a strong pitch. Since they came into existence, they started playing the 1967-68 season. And since the Flyers came into play, 2 Stanley Cups, they are 3rd all-time in points percentage of all NHL teams, with a .569 points percentage behind the Vegas Golden Knights and Montreal Canadiens. Vegas, obviously, it's skewed a little bit because they're a relatively new franchise. They're 7th all-time in wins in NHL history, which means they are far and away the best of the, as far as wins, the best of the next 6. What you might not know is that Ed Snider's sister Phyliss is the one that came up with the Flyers name. Now, everybody thinks they came up with the name through a naming contest with Acme. That is true, but Flyers was going to be the name, so they decided to choose whoever put Flyers in as a entry. That was going to be the winner of the naming contest, and it was a 9-year-old named Alex Stockard won the Flyers naming contest, but they already had the name picked out. Other names that were considered or voted on by fans: the Sabres, the Lancers, the Raiders, Royals, Knights, Bashers, Bruisers, Blizzards, which I think the Blizzards would have been the Philadelphia Blizzards. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Ice Caps, Huskies, Keystones, Liberty Bells. The Liberty Bells were the most popular name, and Snider right away, no, we're not doing it. And then some old school names: the Quakers, the Ramblers, the Arrows, the Philly Billies. Could you imagine that? Doesn't have the same sort of, if you think about the history of this franchise, if they were the Philadelphia Philly Billies, don't necessarily come across as very intimidating, but that's just me. The Scars and Stripes would have been a pretty cool name, but that sounds like a minor league hockey team, or like something out of the movie Slapshot. They were taking on the Scars and Stripes tonight. The Croaking Crickets, I have no idea. But on this day in 1966, Philadelphia was awarded one of the next 6 expansion franchises in the NHL. So today, let me be the first to wish the Flyers a very, very happy birthday. Hopefully, they can continue that hot streak, but you guys don't look a day over 75, which actually they're 66, 40 or 64. So not bad, approaching retirement age. But happy birthday to the Flyers. On this day in 1966, Philadelphia was awarded one of the next 6 NHL expansion franchises. I'll get that out. That's hard to say. All right, finally today, our Philly Sports Black History Spotlight. We're going to take a look at Herb Adderley. And Herb was born in Philly, went to Northeast High, where he played football, basketball, and baseball, was all-city in all 3 sports. From there, he went to Michigan State, where he played halfback, led the team in rushing yards as a junior, receptions as a junior and a senior, was named to the All-Michigan State University team in 1970. He was selected by the Green Bay Packers number 12 overall in the 1961 NFL Draft. Started with the Packers as a halfback, but they had a couple of Hall of Famers playing ahead of him. Switched to cornerback when one of the Packers cornerbacks got injured, I guess because he played some cornerback in high school. But the rest, as they say, is history. He stepped in as an injury replacement from the running back room. And from the day he stepped on as a cornerback, had an interception in his first game. From there, that day on, he went and won 3 Super Bowls, 2 with Green Bay, 1 with Dallas. Played in 4 of the first 6 Super Bowls. the only NFL player to do that. He's a 5-time NFL champion with the Packers before then, 4-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler on the 1960s NFL All-Decade team. He is in the Packers Hall of Fame, the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. Not bad for a halfback who started to play corner due to an injury. Ended up with 48 career interceptions, returning 7 of them for touchdowns. Still is in the top 5 in a lot of the Green Bay Packers all-time categories for interceptions, interception yards, touchdowns, punt returns. Just a great talent. And again, one of those hidden gems that you probably never really knew. I've heard of Herb Adderley. I never knew he was from Philly. Until relatively recently, but the Northeast High grad, went to Michigan State, went on to be a Hall of Famer with the Packers and the Cowboys in the NFL. So Herb Adderley is today's Philly Sports Black History Spotlight of the day. Just a Hall of Fame guy all around, one of the best to ever do it, and almost didn't get his shot, took advantage of an injury, and the rest, like we say this a lot on this podcast, but the rest, as they say, is history. Happy birthday to the Flyers. On this day in 1966, Philadelphia was awarded one of the next 6 NHL expansion franchises. They would be named the Flyers, courtesy of Ed Snider's sisters, Phyliss. Thank goodness they are not the Philly Billies, because, again, I don't know if that really exudes intimidation or not. I don't know if they'd be the Broad Street Bullies are one thing, but the Philly Billies, it sounds like they should be, I don't know. We'll leave it at that. But happy birthday to the Flyers. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. That Phillies truck is on the way down. Probably at this point, I would say if they left at noon, they got to be somewhere in Virginia now. North Carolina maybe, depending on if they drove straight through. They certainly would probably be close to Clearwater. But either way, they're expected to be there on Sunday, which means, I know what Phil said, but the Phillies truck's left. That means spring is right around the corner. Don't forget to give me your grades on the Sixers trade deadline, 267-495-8531. I give it a solid B for Buddy Hield alone. Not a fan of Jaden Springer, but I think if they can bring in Kyle Lowry and some other guys from the buyout market and really put this team together and just keep their heads above water until Joe comes back, we'll be in good shape. But 267-495-8531 get you in. Let me know your grade for the Sixers and anything else you need to get off your chest. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Buy your Girl Scout cookies from Ella. And make the whole McNabb, Asante Samuel thing and the WIP Love Fest make sense. Like, this is the same radio station that sent 30 nitwits up to New York to boo this man. And now you're like, oh, Donovan, we love you. No, you like, stop. Just stop. All right, it's going to be a beautiful day. Get out and do something outside. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.